I am unsure whether someone other than my husband and I already uses the term show-upism. It is a word that we coined to refer to showing up at religious gatherings because of pressure from others, be it perceived or real. 5 years ago, my sister, who lives in the same town, told me, "You're so busy, my children don't even know you." At the time, I was studying a full-time program, working part-time as an administrative assistant and also as a live-in supervisor at a local high school hostel, and busy with a 3-year Bachelor's of Divinity degree at the church's Bible Institute's night school. I had no idea how to fix the fact that they didn't know me, and I thought that I had failed. But her words planted a seed which, unfortunately, took several years to start growing. To say the least, I was exhausted and ended up with severe burnout. But I didn't learn my lesson just yet. Even after recovering, though I had many other responsibilities to tend to, I kept thinking I had to show up at every gathering, that if I didn't, it would somehow cause me to backslide, that I had a religious obligation to be wherever someone else had decided. After starting to work and after the events that started in 2019, things got a bit better. I finally had to stay home for long stretches of time, and I realized I had no idea what to do with all the free time I suddenly had that used to be filled with socializing. Slowly, I started to recover from the fear that not showing up would somehow damage me spiritually. To me, show-upism is far more damaging than the fear of missing out, which might be related, but it still took some time to fully recover from my "what would people think" mental illness, which meant that I kept showing up at events that I had neither the desire nor the energy for, though I started doing so less and less. After marrying, my husband and I, after both expressing that we were exhausted from having so many places to go and people to see, decided that Saturday was to be an us-only day. That sparked something marvelous. Soon we realized that we didn't actually have the ability or capacity to meet up with people during the week. Not only did we have a smaller social capacity than some of our friends, which is a well-researched topic, we also noticed that many responsibilities remained unattended to if we were leaving the house during the week. Soon, with stricter weekday rules, chaos turned into routine, but, as life would have it, sadly, we were asked whether we had backslidden because we scarcely attended midweek gatherings. My husband received some backlash, and I had to, as politely as I could, correct someone in testifying of my husband's blameless conduct. It felt like the final wake-up call. Some other odd accusations finally led us to identify the problem: show-upism. The pressure that we felt to show up was not only in our imaginations. Some people actually believed that if we couldn't or wouldn't show up everywhere, that we had backslidden, which I find incredibly sad. Not everyone has the same social capacity, nor does everyone have the same amount of time. Many are held captive by the belief that if they don't show up everywhere, that they are somehow missing out on the opportunity to learn and grow, or that they are missing out on the one and only opportunity to serve others and do their Christian deed for the day. Sometimes people allow excuses like "we have young ones in the house" or "we were sick," but once that time is over, the pressure is on. Nobody's life will look the same, and showing up doesn't have as much to do with our spiritual growth as we've been taught. Tending to our responsibilities, spending enough time at home, with our family, with ourselves, even taking time to rest and simply live, all of these are just as much a part of life as going to church events. Often, sadly, churches forget that those who attend their gatherings were away from their family for the entire day, working hard. Many religious circles promote the idea that church is more important than family, and in the end, many people become unbalanced and struggle day by day because they were not granted enough time and space to live. We live very close to a church that we call the Singing Church. They have church for over 4 hours just on Sunday. They sing a lot, as you can tell by our nickname for them, and they have other gatherings too. And I often wonder whether they have time for things like personal growth, family time, practicing their Christianity, or simply recovering from the week. We often forget that our family matters too. that they are souls too, that we should serve and minister to them as well. We need only spend a few minutes doing some research to find out just how important family bonds are. If we are neglecting our responsibilities, if we are neglecting our families, but we are showing up everywhere else, it is time to reconsider how we choose to spend our time. During the past year, I have learned that show-upism is often the direct result of someone else's greater social capacity and needs. They're feeling the need to check up on others, or they believe that simply getting together is so highly Christian that choosing or needing to do anything else at that specific time is backsliding. And it is also a result of their inability to accept that everyone's schedule will look different. At other times, we are the ones who want to look good and avoid criticism by showing up. But showing up is not a prerequisite for being a Christian. It never was and it never will be. Our obedience, our spiritual growth, is played out in every single area of life. We shouldn't feel guilty when our program does not fit into someone else's schedule. I dislike having to defend this viewpoint, and I can already hear Hebrews 10:25, "Let us not neglect meeting together," being quoted to me, a verse that is often misused and misapplied. I'm not saying that we should never attend any gatherings again or rebel against anyone who tries to organize something, which is what Hebrews 10:25 warns against. I'm saying that we need to find a balance. We need to live with wisdom, and we definitely need to respect each other's lives. If we or someone else is having a hard time because we expect them to show up, if they are tired and burned out and neglecting other responsibilities, we have allowed show-upism to remove love, mercy, and grace from our hearts. Our obligation to serve others does not outweigh our obligation to live wisely. Taking care of our responsibilities, which includes sufficient rest and mental well-being, is not somehow less spiritual than showing up at gatherings. It is often more difficult and requires greater spiritual discipline to live the Christian life in the small moments. I have learned that the Christian life does not only take place at church or some gathering, but that every single moment counts. And for that reason, I don't believe that showing up or not showing up would make me any more or less of a Christian. After all, I am free.